I'm taking you inside a Google Ads account, which I have absolutely zero idea about. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly how I go about auditing Google Ads accounts and e-commerce brands. And number two, how I go about providing solutions and strategies for them, which end up eventually scaling them to the very next level. Now, this brand right here, I have zero idea about, besides the fact that it does roughly, supposedly that too, $40,000 to $50,000 per month at a very high ROI. I mean, last 30 days, they spent roughly $3,000 to make back $46,000, which on its own is very impressive. Now, these are all brands which I audit under my Google Ads agency or marketing. So for starters, if you run a brand doing $50K or more per month in revenue, you want an audit like this, and you want to work with an agency to scale to the next level with Google, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com, schedule a free call with me so we can have an audit done just like this one. But essentially, whenever I start auditing any type of brand, and it doesn't matter what niche, industry, what level of revenue scale it has or has not, I always start by looking at the foundations first, which means in this situation, I'm trying to understand how good is the conversion tracking. And the easiest way to understand this is to go on over to segments, and under segments, if we look at the conversion actions, what we're trying to understand is how many conversion tracking events are actually firing for this brand. And right off the bat, we see a major issue. For this brand, if we look right here, we see a total of 3 different values firing under the conversion tag and also the conversion value tab. This is a major red flag, because if you have proper conversion tracking installed, you should only have one conversion tracking event, which is a primary one, firing and tracking all your data relevant for your business. So in this situation, we see 3, which means there's triple tracking going on. It says 23 sales for this campaign, but the reality is there's either only 12 sales coming in or 7 or 5 roughly. And the way to figure this out is to go a bit deeper into the back end to understand which one of these is actually true. But it looks like these are GA4 conversion tracking events, and the first one is via sim process in the Shopify backend. But already a big red flag. And we can further kind of understand this if we go on over to conversion goals in the backend to understand how many different conversion tracking events actually have firing. So we actually see there's multiple different conversion tracking events firing, although only 4 of them, which all 4 of them are primary, are actually recording data at this point of time, and 2 of them are active and firing within the campaign. Is the third one, which seems to have recently been fixed. But last 7 days, it looks like 2 are still firing. Major red flag. It's still double tracking going on within the brand. So that's already a first major red flag I see. Now, moving on to the actual campaign side of things, I see that they don't have any types of shopping presence at all. It's mostly search campaigns running, and along with a display campaign. I mean, this is pretty crazy on its own, because a brand like this, which is in an automotive industry, in my experience at least, 99.9% of the time excels with shopping placement. So the fact that there's 0 shopping on here and they're actually getting some scale here is actually crazy to me. But overall, it looks like there's a lot of branded search going on right over here. They're targeting their brand name, and they're targeting some types of different keywords, which are cold traffic keywords for a collection basis right over here as well, which of course these have 0 sales. So ideally, these 2 at the top are branded campaigns, and just branded sales are coming through. And if we look at the inside section, which again is part of the foundational research I'm doing for the brands, last 28 days, we can further understand which keywords are actually driving the revenue. And it looks like the actual brand name itself is the top 2 keywords. Actually, the top 3 keywords are branded keywords, branded search terms actually driving the sales. The 4th one is the only one that's cold traffic, also the 5th one, but that's only roughly 3 sales out of the total that's coming in here. So another red flag that this brand is heavily reliant on brand traffic. They're spending basically 90% of their budget on branded traffic at this point. So it's not a good sign at all for this brand already. But going on into the actual campaigns now, looking at the actual search terms and everything that are coming up, it looks like they're targeting different types of specific sub collections of products that they sell. Because it's a very big brand with different sub collection, they are able to do this. What we are seeing is they're targeting all of these keywords with broad match targeting. Now, if you don't know what broad match targeting is, it basically anytime you insert any keyword which you're targeting here with a broad match type, you can basically rank for anything and everything under the sun related to it, even closely resembling it. So that means people asking questions about how your product is made, or how to make the product themselves, or where to buy the product. All sorts of these things your products and your keywords will rank for. So this is the number one way most brands waste money with Google, is through broad keywords. And basically all this brand is doing is broad match type keyword targeting, which again, very bad thing to be doing because it's essentially leading to a lot of wasted ad spend. And that's essentially why there's zero results coming from this campaign. Even if we go back a few days or a few months, even 90 days, we can see they had one sale from this campaign, $185, June 3rd. So it's been 2 months since they had a sale on this campaign itself. So things are not looking positive at all for this overall approach. There's basically branded traffic sales coming in with very little to no cold traffic acquisition. And then this final campaign right here is a YouTube campaign basically, and it's not spending any type of money as we see right here. It's daily spent $0 in the last 30 days. So essentially they have no strategy in place. Nothing is working at this point. Now, after getting a general idea of how the brand is performing, where it's leaking, etc., next step I usually like to go is in terms of understanding what's the best strategic approach to even implement in a situation like this. First and foremost, we always start with the foundation up with the landing pages, with the actual conversion tracking and everything in between, getting that situated, getting that fixed up, and then from there moving on to the product feed. As we see in this situation, a lot of these products, they're basically non-existent on Google because none of these campaigns are actually targeting them. And if we look maybe last 90 days, we can see that they were not even targeted in the last 90 days, not spend a single dollar in the last 90 days. So that's a very big blue ocean basically for this brand to not only get some presence on Google in terms of shopping placements, but also then expand to cold traffic. That's essentially the major campaign strategy we would probably end up implementing here. And because this is a high ticket brand, we would probably start with a more performance max based smart bidding strategy, because again, with high ticket, you don't want to be guessing random bids and you cannot just afford to do that. So it'll be mostly performance max with a little bit of standard shopping campaigns, excluding anything else. No search, no demand gen, no YouTube, none of that stuff, because in this niche, from my experience, shopping placements in general work the best. And in fact, a lot of the case studies I have on my channel are for this niche, and most of these brands have scaled with performance max targeting only shopping. So that would be the generic approach here. And because there's over 29,000 SKUs essentially for this brand, that's essentially what we would do. Implement more of a segregation based strategy around performance max and standard shopping. Get these products which are different from each other in terms of segregation. So products that cost $15,000, $14,000 separated in their own strategic approaches versus those products which are $20 or $9. And that's what's going to get the ball rolling for this brand and gain that momentum. It's a pretty straightforward kind of approach here, and it is almost going to work in my experience again, because this has worked consistently for a lot of the brands we handle. Which again, if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads. Go onto my website at yourmarketing.com, schedule a completely free call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together and make that happen.